From the Green Room Studios at Bates Nursery in Nashville, Tennessee, it's Gardening Inside Out, a podcast with highlights from our Saturday morning live show, answering all your gardening questions, giving you plant advice for any space in your life. Let's start the show.
Hey, y'all. It's me, Caroline Gant.
Hey, y'all, it's me, Austin Lowen.
And coming up third, Tyler Blankenship.
Bringing up the rear, Tyler
Bringing up that rear.
Hey, someone's got to do it.
I'm also bugging out. Are you guys bugging out?
A little bit,
Little
yes.
bit, yeah.
We got a little bug thing happened this week, didn't we, Tyler?
Yeah.
We documented it.
Yeah.
Put it on the gram.
The dreaded bagworm.
Oh, yes. They are out in numbers, y'all. They've hit. Me and Tyler did a video the other day showing you what happens if you let bagworms get out of control, and boy, are they.
That's on the Bates Nursery Instagram.
Oh, they're so gross. And you always say take them off and stomp them.
I do. But at these
They're
numbers...
big enough you can... Well, yes, you would need a cherry picker on this green giant to get them all off.
Oh, yeah, they're probably approaching 12 foot. I mean, and there's like 12,000 of them on it.
Yeah.
You'd be picking for a week.
So what are the odds if you see like 2 or 3 bagworm pods? They almost look like cones. Like if you can think about an arborvitae tiny waffle cone. That's what I think of when I see them. Like, because it uses the dead little branches and wraps and then they're the ice cream inside the cone. It's really gross.
That's the cutest way I've ever heard it described. Yes, a little waffle cone caterpillar.
Let's keep it cute. I mean, they're out to destroy your plant, innocently. But so you see 2 of them on there, 3 of them. There's more, right?
Potentially, or more to come. But anytime you can get rid of those.
So how do you treat them at that level?
At that level, it's more of a pick off and stomp.
But would you
Caroline
also do something like spray BT?
Yeah, that can be very helpful.
Does it ever go away on its own?
No.
Never. Okay.
No, Lord, no. Not until that tree's dead, then they're moving on. Man. Tyler got great footage of a really up close shot of it munching down on a piece of the foliage.
And the audio of you saying munching.
I did say
He
munching.
just munching.
Just munching.
It was funny.
It was funny. And I've never seen them before. I've only heard of them, like a boogeyman. And now that I see them, I'm like, oh, well,
You'd never seen one before?
No.
Oh, my God.
I thought that they were the ones that made the nests. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the
I know what
webbing.
you're talking about.
Yeah,
That's what I
those are
thought bagworms were.
Those are like webworms.
And I was like, makes sense.
Those are weird, too.
Yeah.
Not as
Web
weird as bagworms.
bag.
Yep,
Yeah.
they were crazy. Hey, Caroline, let's talk about something.
Okay.
We were talking about something. You wanna...
We switched gears. Sorry, I just decided to switch. I don't know why my brain went here, but I put my horrible word.
Madagascar
Austin.
palm is
Yes.
what I'm going to guess.
I put it outside, and it's looking great.
I bet. They love to be outside. Madagascar palms love the heat and the sun, and your house is so dark.
It's bad.
It was probably mad at you all winter.
Oh, it was super mad. It ended up losing every leaf.
Yeah, but I bet it's reliefing.
Oh, totally. Totally reliefed.
Flushing back out. Those are easy plants, and they're cool, and it's going to get huge.
I know. That
Like as big as you.
Yeah, I've seen them that big.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
We have one
swell
here at
with
the
water.
nursery that's like my size.
I know, and those leaves are so big on it.
Uh-huh.
It's really pretty, y'all. Madagascar palm, they're cool.
Get you a
Yeah, you said it horrible too. Yes.
Madagascar clown car. How about that?
There you go.
That was perfect, Tyler.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We're all going to mess it up together.
There
Yeah.
you go. It's all messed up together.
Let's all mess up together.
You know what?
You're going to hear our mess ups too, because we hardly edit this thing.
We do not edit the intro. I think we've edited it like twice, maybe. But even my houseplants with this heat are suffering outside that I have on my covered front porch that gets no direct sun. I'm watering them every day.
I know. And we haven't talked about the weather yet because we don't want to. It's awful out there. Oh, heat index like 110, Tyler, is that right?
Well, it's 106 today.
Woo!
Might as well be 150.
That's cooking.
Yeah, it is.
People are melting at the nursery right now.
You know what? I'm about to go on vacation for a whole week with my family, and I'm nervous about some trees that I have not planted. Surprise, surprise.
Oh, no. Just have somebody stop by and water them.
Nah, I'm too far out.
Okay.
Ain't nobody coming to me.
You have so many people you know out there.
That's true.
If you have the fortune of having a neighbor that's close enough who wants to do that, you guys can trade off watering.
That is true.
You know, I've put stuff in kiddie pools before when I've
That's
left and didn't plant stuff.
Exactly where I was going with this. Yep. they've been just floating in the kiddie pool. Not floating, sitting, but chilling.
They're in little rings. They're
Sure,
just floating
during a
around.
downpour they float.
I mean, I'm telling you though, that's the best way to do it. If you're a lazy waterer like me, like for sure like me, lazy, fill up a kiddie pool. They're good for a few days.
Mm-hmm. When I went to Michigan, that's what I did with a bunch of. I still have some 4-inch pot annuals
And that's
and
small.
herbs that I have not planted.
Yeah.
Oh,
yet.
those need to be
And I
watered
just-
constantly.
Oh,
Well, that's why I put them in a kiddie pool.
Way to go.
Yeah, that's great.
I got like a 15-gallon
I
catalpa
didn't-
tree that's like 7
I didn't
foot.
mean it that way. She's looking at me like, your catalpa?
Yeah, the catalpa tree. It's like 7 foot tall, and it wilts hard when it's
You
dry.
haven't planted that
y'all.
yet?
No.
In a pot? How often does it fall over?
In the kiddie pool, not so bad because I got enough plants to where they fill up the kiddie pool so much
Oh.
to where they don't lean and tippy tip.
Yeah,
So
No
they're
tippy
helping
tips.
each other.
yeah, the other night we had a crazy. Oh, I forgot to tell y'all.
What?
I had a
I'm offended.
tulip poplar tree fall down in my backyard.
How big is it?
Really?
Oh, Ty, it's 50
I have a
foot.
huge one. Yeah.
Is it in the place where trees go to grow up?
Yeah.
That's a big place.
And actually, no, it's not. It's laying in my yard where I have to mow. So
You've
I'm done.
lost a lot of trees this year.
I mean, not really. 2.
It seems like it.
You know the one tree that fell on my chicken coop?
Yep.
It didn't actually fall. It didn't unearth. It just leaned.
Gotta lean on
It just leaned on down
Just
and just
leaned
hit
on
the earth.
over.
Probably from that
So-
wet spring.
I cut. Yeah, well, it's on my creek line, so it's got a lot of erosion on one side of it and a lot of like exposed roots. So it just leaned on down after the rains we had, and I cut up all of the limbs that were on it, but I left my. I don't have a chainsaw blade right now. Okay, I did it all with a sawzall, so I left the big main trunk. So I left that. Well,
That's impressive.
it's re-leafing like crazy, y'all. You would never believe it if you didn't know trees, but you could take a tree that's literally got, I mean, big, and you cannot see any buds on this main trunk at all. But then you cut it down and you expose it to no limbs or anything, and it re-leaves from buds you never even knew existed.
Well, it's got all that energy. It's got to go somewhere.
I know, but you would think like you looking at what am I trying to say? What's the bark? Looking at the bark, you wouldn't
stuff.
think there'd be any buds on that.
Oh, that's true, but it's pushing.
But it pushes from everywhere. It's crazy.
I wanna
I'll get
see
a
a picture of this,
I'll,
yes.
I'll get you a picture.
I mean, that
need to see
outermost
that.
layer is the living layer of the
It
plant.
is. I know, but all the, when it's growing and it's big and tall, all the growing buds typically are at the tips of the branches. That's where they push new growth from. Take
Yeah.
all that away, got to push from
gotta
somewhere
push
else.
from somewhere.
Got to live or it's got to die.
It's got to put out its solar panels.
and that tree wants to live.
Oh, that one
It
is
wants to
horrible.
live. But your tulip poplar did not.
No, that one fell. Actually, I think it just broke. I actually was so annoyed by it. I didn't even go back there to look at it. The kids were out there playing on it last night, jumping around on limbs and stuff, and I'm like, I ain't going back there. I'm mad.
I'm mad at that tree.
Yeah, because now I got to work. Gardening makes you work.
Just wait until you get back in town. It'll still be there.
I am. I ain't doing it when I get home. I'm leaving tomorrow.
Hey, I
Gardening
love
is a
gardening,
lot
and
of
I
work.
haven't worked a day in my life.
Oh, Tyler, yeah, right. We've
Yeah.
all worked.
You've worked for those bananas.
Oh,
That's
no,
true.
I've worked. No, the bananas were insane, and they're still out at the curb. And y'all, I haven't mentioned this yet, but a moment of silence for my fruit cocktail tree. It's gone.
Oh,
Okay, that's enough.
okay, silence.
It was like
I'm sorry.
maybe
bury
like
it with my Macawa.
that was the first tree that I bought from Bates Nursery before
Aw.
I worked here.
Really?
Yes.
That's sad.
Yeah, I came out during the winter when David had his tree sale going on. I think it was like 30% off or 50% off. So I got a great deal on it,
Yeah.
and
Right.
it gave me fruit.
Hey. Well,
and then it retired.
everything dies.
Everything dies.
That's
I
a
tell
fact.
people that a lot.
Hey.
They all die. It's gonna die.
Yeah, it's all good. You know what we should do? We should just gather up a bunch of your banana leaves, have a luau, and roast a pig.
A luau nanny.
Yeah. And it'll be like a celebration of life of your tree,
Let's do it.
and we'll bury it.
But is there anything else going on in your beds right now other than being hot?
No,
Hotter than all
besides
get out.
weeds. Weeds don't care if it's hot.
My weeds are going crazy.
Yeah, they
It's
jump.
no fun.
Especially the grass weeds. God. I mean, the broadleaf weeds are one thing, but the grass weeds,
grass.
oh, the crabgrass, it's awful.
I pull crabgrass every day and then it just reappears in
Yeah.
my sidewalk bed.
I've
It's always there.
Spent hours this year pulling crabgrass, and it is the worst in the wildflower bed that I have, or that Sarah sowed, and we're not doing anything about it because it's so densely growing in there. We're just going to have to like
Wait it out.
mulch it early, maybe in the fall, and then next year, because that's all you can do is cut it down to where you can pick it out.
Yeah. It's a hard pull, too. Ooh, hard pull.
Yeah, it's no fun. Do it after it rains. Then it won't be so bad. But let's go ahead and get into this week's broadcast. We were all here.
It was great.
I was
lively.
back. Austin was back. Everyone. So you'll hear the three of us, as always. And who else?
David Bates and Josh Carey.
Carey.
That's right.
Y'all enjoy.
Our first question is about boxwoods.
Oh.
Austin's favorite.
Yes.
When is the best time to prune boxwoods?
Josh,
3:30.
there you go.
There it is.
3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
No,
I
not
know
yet.
y'all. The reason this question's probably coming out is because some of your boxwoods are probably have thrown up a few wild stems that are kind of up above the foliage. It's okay to knock those off if you really want to, but I'm a big fan of pruning boxwoods right around mid-February.
That's the best time.
Best time. Get them back in check, nice and tight.
You can really go real tight on
Yeah.
them, and when they flush out from that,
It's perfect.
yes.
It's perfect when they flush.
And really, any trimming if you did that in February, the only trimming they'd be doing right now, Austin, would be with hand pruners, just
Exactly.
to take a couple of shoots off here and there. But
Yep.
they should be perfection right now. You shouldn't need to be doing it. So everything in gardening to be most successful is about timing. So we're going to keep working on getting people's timing right, with regard to trimming and to transplanting. So whatever transplant questions you have, we're going to go, why you want to do it now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now's not the time to hardly do anything.
Oh, gosh.
It's hot.
Now's the time to rest a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And maybe water your garden. I will say, Ben the boxwood, my boxwood that got mowed down by my sweet husband who was just trying to weed eat, is doing great. It flushed out. So Ben is a little bit smaller than all my other landscape specialist boxwoods, but doing great. It's still a little bit flat because I couldn't shape it.
Yeah. The old flat top.
Lawnmowers are, they're very persistent trimmers, if they're...
They're efficient.
He chopped him right down. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty sad.
Gets the job done if you need it done. you
Yeah,
know?
well,
Yeah.
sure, yeah. I prefer to use, for trimming purposes, a lawnmower only with regard to ground cover, and that's only at the very highest setting because it
At the proper time of the year.
at the proper. Again, we're talking mid-February latest for be it liriope, monkey grass, or a winter creeper euonymus. Those kinds of things that are down on the ground, you can set the mower to the highest setting and mow them and collect all the clippings up in the bagger if you happen to have one of those on there.
Yep.
And that makes it all good. It makes it really nice and even, and when they flush out, you don't have to do any more trimming the rest of the year. And that's the point we're kind of driving home, is if you do it at the right time, you kind of get around having to be thinking about it when the weather is rugged like it is currently.
There's a great video of you mowing down some monkey grass.
It is
Floating
called
around the internet.
Mowing My Monkey Grass. I think it's got about 10,000 views on it now. That sounds like a lot, but Austin's ficus, repotting a ficus from COVID, I think is approaching 100,000. So
It's well over it
Wow.
now.
Wow.
well over. So
Trending.
so there you go.
Trending.
You little influencer.
Check it out. 105,000 views.
He knows exactly how many.
Yeah, I check it every day. You got to.
You do. You got to keep up with it. Well, let's continue on our question quest. Planning on fall planting trees. What weather conditions should I wait for?
Cool. I mean, cooler than now.
Cooler.
Gosh,
Yeah.
I sold a. I say I sold. A customer came out and wanted to buy a tree yesterday. They bought a bald cypress, which bald cypress is the state tree of Louisiana. It lives in the swamps, y'all. Sends up the knees out the water. Okay. They were asking me, hey, how much should I water this? I don't want to overwater it. I'm like,
You cannot.
My God, you cannot overwater this. You're planting this in the dead of the heat.
Yeah.
If you think you need to water it, water it. You're not going to overdo it. You can't. They can live in water. So planting trees in the fall is a great idea. That's the time I do it. I mean, typically I do it in the wintertime, when they have no leaves. That's the least stressful on a plant.
And if you're going to plant like a bald cypress or a weeping willow this time of year,
Oh, my gosh.
just put the hose on there and
Just turn
leave
it on and leave it.
And never let it go.
Don't ever turn it off.
You
for
can't
days.
possibly overwater either of those.
No, you
Not
can't.
possible.
So, yeah, waiting till fall is a good idea. Good thinking on that one.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm waiting to transplant, of course, a bunch of stuff, and I want to do it now, but I'm going to wait for the fall.
Yes.
Yeah, I know, but I
don't
look
even
at
know
it
why
every
you're
day
doing
and
it.
I say, because I
You
planted
just
them where
got to
I
move
don't- I
stuff.
just got to move stuff. I planted some hydrangeas
Well,
somewhere.
somebody's
got to
be out there giving the reports on how much trouble it was and what the
Exactly.
and what
Yeah,
the
really.
success rate or the lack thereof
That's right.
might be.
Okay, she's our field reporter.
I am your field reporter.
Absolutely.
I got 5, but I planted 3 of those little blue jay hydrangeas, and I think they're getting a little too much sun. They're just not going to be happy where they are.
Are they wilting in the afternoon?
Yeah, a little bit.
Just like my eclipse.
Yeah.
My eclipse is doing great, actually, that I have. It has all this new growth. I mean, it was getting its roots in, and then I looked at it yesterday, and it's got a lot of new leaves, and they are coming out dark, because I know that was one thing we wanted to see if that would stay.
I'm considering putting up a shade cloth of some sort, and I think I can probably come up with something that will be acceptable to the project
I just planted
manager.
mine where it gets shade in the afternoon.
That's
Actually, I didn't plant it. I brought it home. Renee planted it, or,
Nice,
or she had
Renee.
someone planted. Well, she's she's the more active gardener. I was actually standing in the yard this morning admiring a maple tree that I planted a couple of years, 5 years ago, and how big it has grown. That was actually the last thing I actually prepared the hole and the soil and all that for. So I don't do a whole lot of it at my house. I have done a lot,
Yes.
but I don't regularly now. 68, it has its advantages and disadvantages, and
Maple
gotta-
trees often leap with growth year to year. It's pretty amazing to see.
But Josh, you're going to transplant your
fall.
in the
Yeah,
fall,
yeah.
right? Just like I'm doing with my hydrangeas that I planted
but
in the
I've
wrong
got to,
spot.
I'm gonna have to get them there, and I'm gonna have to do something.
Yeah.
There's no. Maybe even get the UT parasol and get it out there. You think Diana would go for that?
well, you should be able to get the national championship baseball
There you go.
parasol
Yeah, baby.
out there by then.
Yeah,
put
get
it
you
out
some
up
umbrellas
there.
out there.
What a
Drop
spread.
it, bring it up, and bring it down. But I think I have I have an idea. So I mean, maybe we'll put a 4-poster around them, and then put a shade cloth over the top.
You know, Josh, though, this is the first year. Like macrophyllus can acclimate to the site. Like I talked to a guest yesterday. Her name was Elizabeth. She was cool. I liked her. Cool.
Elizabeth
Real
the
neat.
Cool.
She was great. And she has macrophyllus planted in the sun. And she was like, yeah, they're in the sun. And she was like, they wilt every day. She was like, but I don't care. They perk up in the morning.
But
And
they're
I'm like,
so beautiful, and it was such a perfect spot for them. I would.
And
love for
the
that to
deal,
happen.
the operative word on that is turgor pressure,
Excuse me?
and what happens is that they transpire water out of the foliage because they are what macrophylla. They have big leaves. They got a lot of pores on there, and the water, the vapor comes out of the foliage faster than the stems can bring that hydrostatic pressure up, or turgor pressure. So that's why so it's not necessarily an indication that they are dry.
So I get a pressure booster and put it on there and put it in line. some way?
Well, that's what you're doing when you add some shade to the situation.
Okay.
Is that you're reducing the amount of transpiration, which is the net increase
Okay.
of hydraulic pressure within the vascular system.
Okay,
So
what 40 weight oil or
you don't need to do any oil,
No,
Josh.
no oil?
Just
water?
Plant
just saying.
science.
Okay.
It's all plant science. Hey, Jacqueline is with you, Josh. Jacqueline says, I need to move my eclipse as well.
Wow.
Jack Lynn.
So we all, Lynn.
Not
Jack Space
Jacqueline?
Lynn. Not
It's not
Jacqueline.
Jacqueline?
Not Jacqueline,
Space
Jack Lynn.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh,
Jack.
all right. Let's get to another question, y'all. Ideas for slim evergreen shrubs and trees for full sun that can tolerate juglone as well.
I looked this up. I'm just going to say it. I looked this up because this one person has been asking about juglone a lot, and we have to be accurate. And the Eastern Red Cedar
Seen her.
Speaking of accuracy,
True, yeah.
is basically anything juniper and anything arborvitae is going to be good to go.
Nice.
And juglone persists. It can persist up to 80 feet beyond the tree.
Now,
Yes.
other mahonias are also quite resistant to juglone. So.
Yes, this is a slim evergreen shrub and tree. So
I wonder. I bet
with the
a
arborvitae or Taylor juniper.
sweet gum would live. That slender silhouette sweet gum. That's such a cool
I
plant.
think it
That
would.
is a really cool plant.
I bet that'd be juglone resistant.
And if it's full sun, then hey, there you go.
it's going.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of like trees and shrubs aren't as affected by that. Hey, we got a live question in from Joan. My newly planted blueberry bushes, the main stem is yellow. They were planted in a bed with cardboard under the mulch. Can it be staying too wet? I water most every day.
Every day probably is too wet. I mean, blueberries have a tendency to not, if they're too wet, they're not able to take up like nutrient, and then they get deficient in at least some sort of way. So a lot of times yellowing is a nitrogen deficiency, and if they're staying too wet, then that's the reason. So they can't take up the nutrients that they need.
Yeah,
I'd back off of that.
Yeah, roots start dying off because they can't handle all that water, and it's one of those kind of vicious cycles that can begin a downward spiral. So really need to take a moment and just go, let me let that thing
Are you
fly.
picturing the cardboard directly on top of the ground under the mulch?
That's what it
That-
sounds like.
Joan,
Yeah.
did you cut a big enough space around the plant itself, too, to allow some of that to get in?
Most people are going to try to do them close because they don't want it
The
to
weeds.
get weeds coming through, which, because what you do is you create a target for the weeds to come
Absolutely.
through. But
That's also a place to water.
But the difficulty is if you're using like a sprinkler system or just an oscillating sprinkler or whatever, and you're watering the entire bed, there may be other things in there that are quite adept at dealing with that moisture.
Right.
Maybe this one thing is not. So, you might want to change your watering habits and only use the bed broadcast method maybe once a week, and then water the other things by hand.
Right.
But they don't need it. Anything that's an established planting, unless it's a bald cypress or a weeping willow, they don't. They really don't. There's no reason to water them every day. They can't possibly use that much water.
Yeah, I planted some blueberries I think it was last spring. I watered them when I put them in the ground, and I might have watered them twice when we were going through spells where we weren't getting a lot of rain, and they established, and they're doing great. And they're huge. Let's get one more question in real quick. My Sengo Kaku is turning its fall colors on a few limbs. Is this weather or deficiency related?
Of course, that's a Japanese maple.
Yes.
For those who don't know.
And this
Coral bark.
This does happen. I've seen it too. I've seen it with regular maple trees too. Red maple, sugar maple. Like they sometimes one limb will go like off color. And honestly, I don't have a great reason why that happens. It's just nature.
Just a
and nature's
wild card
weird.
in nature.
It kind of is, yeah. But as long as your Sango's looking good, if it's just one limb that's kind of going that way, no reason to freak out or anything. It's just kind of part of it. I don't have a great reason.
It happens.
It does. It does happen.
Yeah, plants do weird stuff.
When they get stressed in any kind of way or whatever, like it's not necessarily a sign of death.
It's never a bad time of year to add Earth Mix to your garden. Earth Mix garden products are sustainably sourced, living soils and amendments crafted to give you the best success for your gardening efforts. Establishing a raised bed? Use Garden Premium Topsoil Blend for an excellent performing growing medium for flowers and vegetables. Amend your gardens with their supernatural compost, with all the nutrients needed to recharge existing soils. For houseplants, their Proganics Indoor Grow Mix is a fantastic potting medium that will feed for up to 6 months without the need for additional fertilizer. Earth Mix is sold only at independent garden centers, so head over to earthmix.net/find Earthmix to locate one near you. Success begins at the ground level when you use Earth Mix garden products.
Speaking of gardening and flowers and trees and
All those things.
What's in bloom? With Austin.
Blooming things.
Blooming.
blooming things.
You know, I love it.
You
I
do.
just love things that bloom. Let's just go. Alliums, my ornamental onions. They're full show. Bees all over them.
Oh yeah, mine look great.
They're beautiful this year. Black-eyed Susans, Caroline, you love them. I don't, but they're blooming. Echinacea. That's a pretty plant.
We found out last year that you loved it.
I know. Adam said that. I don't know.
Not yet.
I need to talk to him. Speedwell, Veronica. Veronica is blooming either blue or pink. They look nice. The little candles poking up. Shasta Daisy still blooming, but almost out. I need to deadhead mine. They look awful. Blanket flower, Gaillardia. That I was just in Florida last weekend. They are just littered all in Florida, just like a weed down there. Hey, cannas are still going.
Yep.
Canna's been a canna kind of year. Okay, Oriental lilies.
Yep.
Caroline showed me hers. They look good. All right, gladiolus are blooming, and boy, are we glad. Daylilies.
Mine
Very
are not.
happy about
Y'all,
that.
Mine
Happy
are not
about the
blooming.
glad.
This has been the biggest daylily year of the decade.
Of the all time.
Of all time, you're right. All time, daylilies are still going. I mean, it's been like, how long have I talked about this? For like 4 weeks,
Such a
5
long
weeks
time.
maybe.
We're still hearing you
daylilies
talk
still
about
going and looking really good still. Hey, I've forgot about this vine for weeks now. It's been blooming, but trumpet creeper.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's orange. Not my favorite, but it's blooming. It's looking good, y'all. Elderberry's still going. It's like they've bloomed, fruited, and then bloomed again. Big old weed just doing its thing. Okay, let's go. All hydrangeas, y'all. But mainly the paniculatas right now. Oak leaves are just about done.
Yep.
But the panicles, God, limelight, little lime, Bobo. Looking good. Shout out to my cat. His name's Bobo. They're looking good. Let's move over to the trees. Why not? No, let's not move to trees yet.
No.
Talk
Too
about
soon.
a couple new things. The upright phlocks, the garden phlocks. Hey.
Oh.
If it ain't got powdery mildew, it's looking good.
Mine looks
good work.
great.
This week I just noticed sedum.
Yeah.
Sedum, a little succulent that just grows and lives and is great. Sedum is blooming right now, looking great.
Turkish
and then,
sedum.
what about a great one? About as loud and as showy as it can be, baby.
What is
that
it?
perennial hibiscus. That just showed up.
Oh.
Just showed up.
Boy,
Oh.
dinner plate size.
Dinner plate, size of your face. God, I love hibiscus. All right, now we move to trees. Okay, crepe myrtle's still going. Crepe myrtles are weird. A lot of them are blooming and a lot of them are not.
Mine are not.
Mine are
Mine aren't
not.
either.
But there's a lot that are.
Mine are.
Yeah, see, David.
I know.
You're the only one in the room that hasn't blooming.
Well,
That's
You
'cause
lucky person.
mine
you.
are all natches.
Okay.
So they're
You got the
they're-
goat.
They're big white flowers and they're growing machines.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I love
looking
that
great.
one.
Okay, small trees, Rosa Sharon. Rosa
Oh.
Sharon's still going. It's looking great. That's
Mine
another
mine
hibiscus.
has not bloomed.
What?
I don't.
I don't know what's wrong with your stuff. It's something's wrong with it. But for you, your mimosas are still going, huh?
Yes.
They're looking great.
Uh-huh.
Why not? Magnolia is still going. I'm talking about magnolia for months, it seems like. Okay. Golden rain tree, yellow tree. It's yellow. That's great. And then, hey, I saw a smoke tree yesterday. Still smoking. It just can't quit the habit. I mean, it's just still going.
There's a lot of that going around.
I know. I feel you. Okay. The veggies still blooming. And then, hey, let's talk about some annuals. Why not? Josh, Caroline, your zinnias. Y'all love them. I don't.
Blowing up.
Yes,
They're doing great.
amazing.
They're great.
Yes, Josh.
Lantana's great. And then by far the best, the petunias. They're still going. Hey, shout out to my farmers out where I live. They got that tobacco set out. Hey, it ain't blooming, but it's set out, okay?
You got to cut the flowers off
Good work.
anyway.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
Don't want it to bloom,
You
right?
do. And then,
you
hey,
bag, you bag that stuff, boy. Come
Yeah.
on now.
Let's just go to
Okay.
one of my favorites, Bridget, the grasses. The grasses have started. All the native grasses around the woodline, the Johnson grass and all the whatever grass is blooming like crazy.
Yep.
But then I saw some maiden grass yesterday. It was blooming. Just starting. Shout out, Bridge. I love you. She's so tan. And her arms are so
Bridget
cut.
is very tan. Yeah.
Bridget is so sweet.
It's as
I
though
love
she
Bridget.
works out in the sun.
I
all day
know.
long.
I know.
Imagine
And she
that.
wears sunscreen like crazy. Like she looks white. She just cakes
just
it on.
tans very
But she still
easily.
tans better than me. Like, shout out, Bridge. I love
Well,
you,
you've
girl.
never worn sunscreen in your entire
That's true.
life.
And then, hey, the last but not least, the greatest grass of them all, corn.
Yeah.
Hey,
Tasseling up, baby.
tasseling, baby. That corn's gonna be good. Love y'all. That's what's in bloom.
We're going to have to retire the Fujita scale and go to the Austin scale.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a level that's decidedly above the
Closing the book.
Yeah.
the
there you
Simpsons,
go.
9.1, David.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Drama level 12. That's what I say.
Yeah.
All
You
right.
get so excited when you
Yeah.
talk about corn.
Corn.
It's amazing.
Corn.
Actually, in North Carolina,
That's all you're going to say.
Oh,
in the
corn.
golden leaf fields in North Carolina, they actually take a brown paper bag and put it on top and let the flowers do what they do underneath the bottom.
Oh.
That's a hard job too, by the way.
Oh,
There's
sounds
no-
hot.
There are no parts of raising tobacco that are easy. No parts.
No.
No, that's the worst.
Especially
But I saw them
smoking
setting it out the other day. You know what I said? They're sitting on a tractor. There's two people on the back of it just setting in little plugs. And there's this wheel that turns and plants them. Puts a little cup of water down in there with them. It's such a cool sight to see.
They've been
pretty.
harvesting
Yeah.
for weeks in North Carolina.
Yeah.
They put it out a lot earlier because it's a different kind of backer.
Oh, okay.
Man, come on now.
Yeah, we got that. What we got?
Got
We got
that barley
We
leaf
got that
over
Eastern dark fire.
Eastern Darkfire. I never.
Tyler,
knew
I
that.
see a picture over there. What do you got up?
Oh yeah,
Can we do that?
I meant to jump in on your what's in bloom with this
No!
native azalea.
Is yours in
Wow.
bloom right now?
No.
This
That's
is
not here.
This is in
That's why I
the
was shocked.
Virginia Highlands.
Ah.
I was there the week before last, and it's just so lovely. Seeing those and the mountain laurel blooming were just incredible.
You know, I've always said this. I'm not the biggest orange guy, but that's a different kind of orange.
It's like a yellow orange.
don't
It
know
also
if
looks
it's
like
yellow.
fire.
Red orange.
It's like red orange, yeah. Yellow
Well,
orange.
It's got
Guess I'm
yellow.
wrong.
It's got yellow in it too. It's just like it's on fire.
It is on fire.
Like isn't there one that literally has flames in it? The name I can't remember it right now.
Probably.
Anyway, but there are so many different cultivars that we also sell at Bates Nursery. That
Hardly anything better than deciduous azaleas.
It's the best. Mine didn't bloom this year.
Oh, great.
oh,
It's okay.
Caroline.
What's wrong with your yard? Why is nothing
Everything
blooming?
looks fine. I don't know.
I think Derek is trimming things.
He might, in the
when
middle
you're
of the
not-
night, he takes that weed whacker and just starts cutting things back.
take
Maybe,
that,
I don't know.
blooms, buds.
Stuff is starting to bloom. I mean, I have a ton of plants. There's just a few that weirdly didn't bloom this year or blooming really late, but a lot of stuff bloomed really early. Like my upright phlox bloomed about a month ago.
Yeah.
It's still in bloom, but it's about to be out of bloom.
But then also you have a quick fire.
It's just now starting to bloom.
And mine's like finished.
Mine's just, I'll take a picture. Yeah.
Take a picture.
I have one bloom that's almost fully open and the rest are just beginning. And it's in full sun. I don't know.
It's interesting.
It's a mystery to me, but there's some mysteries to our viewers who still have questions that we need to get to.
Let's
they're
go.
awful quiet live on Facebook and on YouTube.
Yeah.
I can see that they're watching, but
They
they're
are
not
watching.
talking to us this morning.
Well,
so.
they're just enjoying listening to us.
They
But
all
hey,
talk to us.
second year in a row, my Shasta daisy has died within a couple weeks of getting it. What am I doing wrong?
Died. If it's within a couple weeks, y'all, it's always an underwater scenario.
Yeah.
Nothing dies within 2 weeks unless it's underwater.
Unless it's standing in water.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but that's rare.
But it's hard to kill it in 2 weeks.
2 weeks is quick, y'all, for anything.
Well, yeah, if it's a little plant start and you don't water it enough, those roots
And
dry.
generally,
Yeah.
they get dry that one time.
Yes, that's
and
the
then
thing.
you think, oh, I've got to water it extra. Too late.
It's too late. That's a
You know,
great point.
It's like having your dog need to have water. And you just didn't give it water and it died. And then you try to give it more water
Yeah, no.
and it won't drink it because it's dehydrated and dead.
This is a sad story,
This
David.
is I'm trying-
That is so true. David's right, though. If you
Right.
miss one, if it gets dry once,
I mean, critically dry, and it can
Critically
happen
dry.
Critically.
this time of year. It can happen.
it all the time happens.
really,
y'all.
really quickly.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I sold some hydrangeas yesterday. Same way. I told y'all, hydra is in the word.
Yes.
You cannot overwater it. You can't. Please water these. I do not want to see these plants come back within the next week because it happens quickly. If it dies quickly, it's under watering.
I think one of the craziest things I saw last week were these. They were paniculata hydrangeas, freshly planted at a restaurant. You could see where the dirt was disturbed, not watered at all.
Oh, boy.
They were hard wilting. Even the blooms were wilting.
Oh, when
Yeah.
the blooms
You-
go down.
You can
That's
really,
a sign.
You can really discern a lot about the quality of the landscape professional
Yeah.
this time of year. Particularly if they don't water after they've planted. I mean,
And they weren't even mulched.
oh, boy.
it's
Just all of the bad stuff.
Poor little plants. Oh, gosh.
You can really do a good job successfully planting this time of year, but you have to do all the things to stack the deck in your favor.
It takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're
lot
gonna
of
be home and you're able to keep up on the water, and like this morning as I was driving into the nursery, I see people out before the sun's up watering their landscape. And those
Nice.
people are gonna have success all through the summer, no matter what they do, because they're keeping on top of it.
Unless they go on vacation for a month.
That's funny you say that. I had a guest the other day that came out and she wanted to beautify her home, and I was here to help her. It was great. But then she told me, she was like, yeah, we go out of town a lot, so I just need some stuff that's low maintenance. And I'm like, when are you going out of town? She's like, oh, we're leaving next week. I'm like, you can't buy stuff today.
You're
I'm
not
sorry.
allowed.
I'm sorry. I want to help you. I want to make your house beautiful, but you're not allowed to buy stuff today.
Yeah, it would all
Because
be
you're
dead
going
once
out
you
of
got
town
back.
next week. No. You're going to come home to dead plants. We don't want that. We don't want that here.
No.
We want
house
beautiful,
sitter.
happy plants.
Yes.
Yes, we do. Speaking of beautiful, happy plants, why is my snowball hydrangea so leggy and blooms fall to the ground? Sounds like it's pretty happy and the blooms are heavy. Right?
Yeah,
Talk about it.
Well, pruning efforts over the wintertime are really helpful with that, but that's a little bit of what you get with hydrangeas that bloom really well is that and they do tend to want to flop a little bit. It does happen. So, tying them up can be helpful if they're really, really leggy, but really over this wintertime, really shorten those dramatically, okay? That's going to be helpful. And then it's part of living with hydrangeas, okay?
Yep.
Sometimes they're going to flop.
I'm just not into to all the tying up and all that
I'm not
stuff.
either.
I mean, I don't mind
Let 'em
trimming. And again, like we've already said a couple of times, if you do it at the right time, you get around 95% of all that. It just gives you the opportunity to have a plant that's short and fat with thick stems, and they're not trying to support the weight of a flower that's full of water with some afternoon rainfall and getting broken down to the ground. When it's a short stem, it can do it. So if you'll do those things, it'll really help you. And just look at it and try to remember, don't do that again.
Don't do it.
And by snowball, we probably are thinking the smooth Annabelle hydrangeas.
Probably Annabelles or Incrediballs, yeah. I mean, I've got Incrediballs. David's got Annabelle, and Annabelle stays a little bit shorter than Incrediball. And I have noticed my Incrediballs. We got a rain the other night, and those blooms really filled up, and they're not laying down to the ground, but they are
Laying a little
my
bit.
Annabelles, you had that same rain,
Yeah.
and they're standing up nice and straight, and they didn't flop at all. Now there's a little separation that occurred.
That's the word.
That rain that came through the other night wasn't a desperate downpour either, though. It was a nice steady rain where we were.
What happens though is it's the amount of weight that
Right.
that the flowers accumulate, and of course
And they bust them.
mine still look really good this morning. So
Good deal.
and but I cut mine almost to the ground.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
One
Come
time.
back.
That's all I have to do.
Some say there ain't no cure for the summertime blues. But we say Bates Nursery is. Located in Nashville, Tennessee, Bates Nursery and Garden Center is a separate world unto itself. They feature the widest variety of plants, including trees, shrubs, native plants, perennials, houseplants, and specimen evergreens. Their knowledgeable staff will assist you with any gardening needs, catering to any experience level. Open year-round, and Caroline, tell them how to get here.
Bates Nursery is located minutes from downtown Nashville off Briley Parkway, exit 19 in beautiful Whites Creek, Tennessee. You'll see it's worth the drive from anywhere. No time to visit the nursery? Shop online with delivery and pickup options available for the greater Middle Tennessee area at www.batesnursery.com.
So if you want to learn a lot about living and a little about love, visit Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 1932.
Hey, let's get a houseplant question in. We got a good one this morning. My fiddle leaf fig has cellular edema. Should I bring it back inside? No. So this is it's very typical of the Ficus lyrata.
Talk about what that is.
I'm going to do that. So this tends to happen when your plant is absorbing too much water, and then the cells burst because it can't release it. And it happens in the new growth of fiddle leaf figs. It also happens to a lot of other plants, but you'll notice this red kind of stippling on the leaves. It's like an orange, brown, red color, and it's in the new growth. And this is nothing to worry about. It actually will go away with time as the leaf matures and it gets bigger. But it's just a sign that there's some inconsistency with watering. And I find with my fiddle leaf figs and the ones we have here at the nursery, when they start growing a lot, when we're watering them, when we fertilize them and they start to push a lot of new growth, it tends to happen. But it's nothing to worry about. I would say it happened because you brought it outside. And if it's getting a lot of rain, we did have a lot of rain earlier in the season, and that's what's causing it. But it's kind of a cool thing to look at. And it's crazy that it does disappear as the leaf gets older.
Bruises go away.
Bruises go away. That's right. Exactly right.
But you don't want your plants to explode because of it.
No, you don't. We don't want this.
No,
would be cool,
tomatoes, it's
actually.
not unheard of. And if you have tomato splitting, that's a similar kind of condition where they've been excessively watered, and that water engorges the fruit, and then it can't grow fast enough for the skin to be able to retain that, so they splits. Doesn't mean they're bad or they're anything else. It just means you need to modify your watering habits.
Water has to go somewhere.
Yep.
Watering, I'd say, is the hardest part as far as any kind of gardening goes, inside or outside.
It's the hardest thing to teach people by far. You just kind of have to learn it yourself.
You do. It's
gotta get to know
quite
your
the
plants.
learning curve.
Plants need to get wet. Then guess what? They need to get
They need
dry.
to get dry.
And they need it alternatingly.
Those roots have to breathe.
alternatingly, yeah.
Hey, how little light can a big Areca palm tolerate and stay decent looking? It's going to need some light. It is a palm, and luckily we have... Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Right behind me, we've got Areca that we talked about a little earlier. Now, if it's really, really bright indirect light, it can handle that. It will start to lean. The older leaves will start to fall out of the pot a little bit, but this is not a low light plant.
Yeah, they are in the tropics. They are one of the primary plants used for screening. Full sun. They are a great
They get massive
screening.
too, don't they? Yeah.
They look awesome. Back in the day when I lived in Hawaii, I dug out a hedgerow of these things, and we separated them out and grew them in pots, and it worked out really well. It's a lot of work, but they love the sun. They are not particularly shade tolerant.
They are not. Get you a Dracaena
Yep.
if you need something for a low light area of your house. Dracaena, Sansevieria, they'll do great. They're really, really
Neanthobella
easy.
palm, maybe, or
Yeah, that's I would say the best lower light palm that you can go with. It doesn't have quite the color that Areca's do, but still great. Hey, we got some live questions in. I need some shade desperately in my yard. I took a pull out. I don't want anything really tall.
Huh.
Well, how
I
you
took
gonna
my
get shade?
pull out.
How
and I
you going to
filled
get
it with
shade if
plants.
you don't want something tall?
yeah.
If you need shade, you got to put in a tree.
I mean,
Yes.
do you just want to lay down on the ground?
Maybe
Like
they don't
under-
want a really, really tall tree.
Redbud.
Okay, yeah, redbud, dogwood, but they're not throwing a ton of shade.
Nope.
I mean, and
Unless you lay down on the grass.
yeah, down below them. I mean, maybe go for that in between, like David said earlier with his maple tree. You can get an autumn blaze maple that'll get up to like 30, 40 foot. That's pretty good.
Yeah, mine's probably up at, I'd say 22, 23 in just 5 years.
Probably
It's-
a lot of sand in this soil where this pool was too. So
Could
we
be.
gotta keep in mind about that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mine had a bunch of sand, and I have a lot of blanket flower growing in it now. I created a big, giant bed.
Some of them used to be bedded with gravel and then the sand. So you just be careful about what you're doing. So.
Yeah. All right. Can I trim off smaller, lower branches on my crepe myrtle tree now, or should I wait until fall?
I did it 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, if it's just lower branches, you're not hurting anything. I mean, you
Do it.
honestly, you can't barely hurt a crepe myrtle at all. I mean,
Already
the
back.
winter time can sometimes hurt a crepe myrtle, but
But
you
it's
can't.
not you hurting the crepe
No,
myrtle.
it ain't you. Yeah, if you need to knock off those lower limbs because they're hitting
will-
you while you're mowing the grass,
And
take
getting
them off.
annoyed. I bet you'd be mad if they
Yeah,
were
I'd be mad at that.
Any crepe myrtle grudges that they might have won't be against you. It'll be
No.
against Mother Nature.
It's
Yep.
true.
Hey, we got a crepe myrtle question in from Miriam. Good morning, Miriam.
Hey, Miriam.
What's the crepe myrtle disease going around, and how can I tell if mine has it?
It's not a disease. There's no disease that's going around. Crepe myrtles got injured last year, Miriam. From really the past 2 years, they were injured by very, very cold temps. So there's a lot of them that suffered a lot of dieback. There's a lot that straight up died from the top, and then are just coming back from the roots. And then there is also a pest that's going around. It's a crepe myrtle bark scale, which is an insect pest that could potentially be on your stems. That is
That's
going
not
around.
good.
That's not good.
No.
But that's an insect pest. No disease. I've not heard of any pathogen that's going around at all with crepe myrtle that's like killing them. Okay, it was just a couple rough winters for crepe myrtle.
If you've got that crepe myrtle scale, you need to deal with that, and it's very easy to spot. It's not, you're not going to mistake it for anything else.
What do we treat it with?
Typically oils, but really, I mean, getting a spray of water to just blast them off is the very first, because they're on the bark. They're not necessarily on the leaves all that much. It's a bark scale. So you can really see them. My dad in East Texas sent me a picture yesterday of crepe myrtle bark scale on his crepe myrtles. And he said they're blooming beautifully. They look great. The leaves are all healthy, but then he sent a picture and there's clusters of scale all over them.
And they will kill them if you don't.
They can.
So
I told him, I said, get your low pressure pressure washer out there and blast those things. First things first, blast them off. Okay, that's going to be helpful. Now, don't cut the bark, with a pressure washer, but you can blast them off of there. Mm-hmm.
You can get them off. Hey, we got another live question about the video that was released. Austin's bagworm video. If you haven't seen it, head on over to the Bates Instagram and check it out. I saw Austin's video about bagworms, and I found a couple on a green giant. I will cut them out. Is there anything I should use on them to prevent more?
Oh boy.
yeah, you don't really need to cut them out.
No.
No, you can just pull them off and stomp on them or whatever. But if you've only got it, look, it's fine. You got to do what you got to do. And if a couple is fine. You know, a couple can turn into
You're
1,000.
fooling yourself.
Yeah. I mean, you can use preventative sprays if you want to try to be helpful with that. But if you've only got 2 at the moment, I'm not a big spray guy. Y'all know that. I'm not trying to do that.
Pick them off.
Pick them off, stomp them, throw them away, whatever.
I will tell you, from my experience, if you believe you have only 2, you probably got
more.
10 times that many. There's a trick I have learned to spot them that for whatever reason, they blend in really well when you look at them in the vertical plane. If you tilt your head over sideways, they appear to jump out. And I had some on a different conifer some years ago, and there was at least 10 times more on there than I believed. And it took me, I picked a couple of hundred off, believing that there were maybe 20.
I used to pay the girls a penny a bagworm.
Used to.
Yeah. So
How's inflation on that?
That would be $1.
I can go for $1. I mean, it started out as a nickel and it got a little expensive. So we get to going. But get them off and get them out of there. And
my goodness, we have done it yet again. That was really one fast hour right there.
It was.
Hey, we do appreciate you guys joining us on all media platforms on Facebook. And I hear we're
Hydrate, folks.
Hydrate.
Yes.
They have free bottled water out here at Bates Nursery today,
Absolutely.
too. So thank you for being on the live chat over there on YouTube, as well as the Facebook page and all the other places. Tell everybody about it. Share. Let it go.
And don't worry about Sonny, just share.
Really. Got to be there for
You
it,
guys.
huh? See you next Saturday for Gardening Inside Out.
Thank you for tuning into the Gardening Inside Out podcast. If you're looking for more information or more from your hosts, don't forget that we have a live Saturday morning broadcast, 8 a.m. Central Time on YouTube and Facebook. You can also follow us on our Instagram channel. That's @Gardening Inside Out for more posts, reels, and in-depth dives to topics and things we've discussed on the show. If our content resonates with you, consider giving us a follow, like, and subscription on all of our social media pages. See you next time.